My fiancé exploded. "I'm fed up with your limits and objections. Act like a real man." I replied, "Got it." Then I ceased including her in any decisions, even the job opportunity I'd taken in another state. When the packing cartons arrived and she inquired what was going on, she discovered I'd already departed. I, 33 male, am now in my fresh apartment 800 miles away from the woman who demanded I act like a real man. The irony hasn't escaped me. She is ringing for the 7th time this morning, and I am gazing at my phone, seeing her name appear on the display like an alert signal I ought to have heeded long before. I do not pick up. I have not picked up since the packing cartons appeared at our joint residence yesterday, and she understood I was already absent. 2 weeks earlier, Melissa, 31, my fiancée of 18 months, glanced at me over our dining table and uttered the phrase that finished it all. "I'm fed up with your limits and objections. Act like a real man." She uttered it as if discarding trash. I gazed at her, this woman I'd intended to build a future with, and responded with the only 2 words that counted. "Got it." She assumed I was consenting to quit resisting. She assumed I was at last going to comply, cease challenging her choices, cease mentioning the minor slights that had been accumulating like overdue debts. She grinned, shifted back to her screen, and continued browsing bridesmaid gown selections she had already chosen without consulting me. What she didn't realize was that, in that instant, I had reached a conclusion. I would cease including her in any matters, even the employment proposal that had lingered in my inbox for 3 days. The proposal came from a consulting company in Denver. Relocation mandatory. Substantial salary increase. I'd been undecided because relocating implied disrupting our existence, altering wedding arrangements, requiring Melissa to abandon her position. But following that evening, the indecision vanished. I agreed to the proposal at 11:47 p.m., executed the agreement, and uttered not a single word. Melissa and I encountered each other at a shared acquaintance's rooftop gathering 3 years back. She was assertive, straightforward, and possessed this manner of reaching conclusions swiftly that I initially found appealing. I was more prudent, thoughtful. She claimed I equilibrated her. I claimed she propelled me ahead. During the initial year, it functioned. But around month 14, the equilibrium shifted. She began formulating plans without consulting, minor issues initially, restaurant bookings at venues I disliked, getaway trips reserved before I could review my schedule. I raised it once softly. She chuckled and stated I was overanalyzing. "You're fortunate I lead," she remarked. "Most fellows would beg for a partner who doesn't require them to organize everything." I dropped it. Then the marriage preparations began. We became engaged last March. Melissa had a Pinterest collection prepared in moments. Locations, motifs, palette schemes, everything. I was thrilled. I believed we would organize it jointly. I was mistaken. She reserved the site without presenting me alternatives. She selected the date that suited her relatives, not both families. She assembled a bridal group that featured her 3 closest companions and her relative. But when I proposed my sibling as my groomsman, she scowled. "Your sibling? He's somewhat clumsy, isn't he? How about Devin? He looks better in pictures." Devin was her acquaintance's spouse. I'd encountered him twice. I resisted. "It's my sibling. He's my groomsman." She exhaled, the sort of exhale that causes you to feel burdensome for possessing a viewpoint. "All right, but he better not don those unattractive footwear he constantly has on." I overlooked it. I overlooked many things. Then arrived the dessert sampling she arranged without me. The floral consultation she went to with her mom while I was employed. The invite she purchased with lettering I'd never viewed. Each occasion I mentioned desiring involvement. She offered the identical reply. "I'm merely attempting to simplify this for you. You're so occupied, I've managed it." Managed as if I were a customer, not her companion. The tipping point arrived 2 weeks back. She had been staying late at work, or that's what she claimed. I didn't probe because probing Melissa typically resulted in claims of distrust. But that Tuesday evening she returned home and declared she had altered our vacation spot. We had settled on Italy. She had reserved Iceland. "Iceland," I remarked. "We discussed Italy for months. Italy is commonplace," she stated, placing her purse on the surface. "Iceland is more distinctive. Additionally, I already paid the down payment. You paid a down payment without consulting me." She shifted, and I noticed the change in her expression, the tolerance depleting. "Carter, I'm weary of seeking your approval for every matter. I'm weary of your limits and objections. Act like a real man." The phrase struck like a blow. Act like a real man. as though possessing a viewpoint, desiring input in my own marriage and vacation was somehow feeble. I gazed at her and something within me grew silent. Not furious, just finished. Got it, I stated. She grinned, believing she had triumphed. Great. Now can you review these activity choices? I gazed at my device instead. The message from the Denver company was still present. Awaiting. Relocation mandatory. Commencement date 4 weeks. I accessed it, reviewed the conditions once more, and selected respond. The following morning I rose before Melissa. I prepared coffee, positioned myself at the dining table, and launched my computer. The agreement was in my inbox, counter-executed. I saved it, stored it in a protected directory, and initiated a task list. Residence hunt, relocation firm estimates, rental termination notification, financial account division. Melissa descended at 7:30 a.m., already viewing her device. She didn't raise her eyes. Can you retrieve my gown from the cleaners today? She stated. Certainly, I replied. She halted, looked at me. You're being compliant. I appreciate it. I remained silent. I had no further words for her. During the subsequent 3 days, I explored residences in Denver. I located a single bedroom in a peaceful area close to my upcoming workplace. Rental was fair. Lease commenced in 2 weeks. I submitted the form during my midday break, attached my earnings verification, and sent it. By Friday, I received acceptance. Melissa didn't observe. She was occupied arranging a bridal gathering I wouldn't attend. That weekend, she attended a wellness day with her attendants. I utilized the opportunity to contact relocation firms. I obtained 3 estimates, selected the most unobtrusive choice, and arranged the relocation for the next Saturday. The crew consented to arrive while Melissa would be at her family's residence for a relative's meal. I was abruptly too engaged to join. Sunday evening, Melissa inquired what I'd done all weekend. Handled work tasks, I replied. She assented, already returned to her device. The rental termination notification was more complex. Our residence was under both names, but I'd been covering rent for the past 8 months, while Melissa accumulated for the marriage. I contacted the owner, described I was moving for employment, and inquired about premature end. He stated if I could locate someone to assume my portion of the rental, he would permit it. I didn't require locating someone. I merely needed my name removed. I informed him Melissa would remain and could manage the complete rent. He stated he would require her endorsement confirming she could handle it. I informed him I drafted a paper, straightforward and clear, declaring that I was shifting my rental duties to Melissa, valid instantly. I placed it in a directory marked residence documents on the dining surface, hidden beneath a pile of marriage publications she ignored. She endorsed it without examining, presuming it was some extension forms. By Monday, my name was removed from the rental. She was unaware. The employment proposal was formalized. My commencement date was set. I had 2 weeks to relocate my whole existence without Melissa detecting. It appears improbable, but when an individual ceases noticing you, you turn unseen. I began with the minor items. Attire I seldom wore, volumes she never observed, cooking tools I had contributed to the partnership. I placed them into cartons and kept them in my vehicle, transporting them to a storage facility I leased solely under my name. Melissa inquired once why I was departing so frequently. I stated I was visiting former pals. She stated fine and returned to her device. The crew was arranged for Saturday, May 11th. Melissa had a relative's meal that day at her family's residence across the city. She welcomed me. I stated I had an employment cutoff. She didn't insist. On Friday evening, I placed the final of my belongings, my workstation, my entertainment system. The mounted image of my relatives that Melissa had once claimed conflicted with the aesthetics. I encased it cautiously, positioned it in a carton marked workstation, and closed it with adhesive that seemed like conclusion. Melissa returned home late, carrying scents of alcohol and fragrance. Meal was wonderful, she stated. You should have joined. Next occasion, I replied. There would be no next occasion. Saturday morning, the crew reached at 9 a.m. Melissa had already departed for her family's residence. Coffee and grip, informing me she would return by 3 p.m. I observed her vehicle vanish down the road, then admitted the crew. They were effective. Furnishings, cartons, all marked and placed in under 2 hours. I strolled through the residence once more, ensuring I omitted nothing personal. The sole items left were hers, her sofa, her utensils, her existence. I placed an envelope on the dining surface. Within was a note, 1 sheet composed and output. No feelings, merely details. Melissa, I have agreed to a role in Denver. and moved valid today. The rental is under your name as of May 6th per the paper you endorsed. The betrothal is terminated. I will not respond to rings or communications. I desire you success. Carter. I positioned my key beside the envelope, departed, and secured the entrance after me. By midday, I was in my vehicle heading west. By 6 p.m., I was in my fresh residence, 800 miles distant, unpacking the existence I had silently regained. Update 1. Sunday morning, I arose to 17 unanswered rings and 23 messages, all from Melissa. I didn't examine them. I didn't require to. I understood precisely their content. The relocation firm had arranged a last delivery to the previous residence on Sunday. A few belongings that didn't accommodate in the vehicle, primarily cartons of volumes and workstation materials. I had neglected to revoke it, or perhaps I hadn't neglected. Perhaps I desired her to view the cartons to comprehend I was already absent. At 10:32 a.m., my device rang once more. I picked up this occasion, not because I wished to converse, but because I wished her to perceive my tone and recognize I was composed. Carter, what on earth is occurring? Her tone was acute, agitated. There are cartons here, relocation cartons with your label on them. I moved, I stated, for employment. You what? When? Why didn't you inform me? You demanded I act like a real man, I stated. I reached a conclusion. Quiet. Then this is madness. You can't simply depart. We're betrothed. We had a marriage, I stated. You organized it. I was merely expected to appear. Carter, please, we can discuss this. Return. We can resolve this. I surveyed my fresh residence, empty surfaces, vacant racks, calm. For the initial time in months, I sensed I could inhale. There's nothing to resolve, I stated. The rental is under your name. The residence is yours. The betrothal is terminated. You can't perform this, her tone fractured. You can't simply depart. I already have, I disconnected. She rang back instantly. I powered off my device. Update 2. By Monday, Melissa had rung my workplace, my fresh workplace. I don't know how she obtained the contact, but she did. My aide informed me there was a lady on the line asserting to be my fiancée, insisting to converse with me. I informed her I had no fiancé and to restrict the contact. Melissa's communications changed from agitated to furious. Images began emerging, messages to shared acquaintances attempting to depict me as erratic, as someone who deserted her without alert. She informed people I had a collapse, that I was experiencing issues and required assistance. Our shared acquaintance Jason rang me Tuesday evening. Dude, Melissa's unraveling. She's claiming you simply disappeared. What occurred? I informed him the facts. The one-sided choices, the slights, the act like a real man remark, the quiet departure. He was silent for an instant, then stated, yeah, I can understand that. She's always been somewhat domineering. I just didn't believe you'd truly depart. I didn't depart, I stated. I moved. There's a distinction. By Wednesday, Melissa's relatives became engaged. Her mom rang me from Melissa's device, believing I would pick up if it wasn't Melissa's label on the display. I didn't. She left a message. Carter, this is Linda. We require to converse about what you've inflicted on my child. This is intolerable. You owe her a rationale. I owed her nothing. I had provided my rationale in a one-sheet note. If that wasn't sufficient, nothing would be. Thursday, Melissa attempted a varied tactic. She dispatched an electronic message subject, please examine this. The message was lengthy, passionate, filled with regrets and vows to alter. She stated she hadn't comprehended how much she had been slighting me. She stated she desired to improve it. She stated she cherished me. I examined it once, then filed it. Affection is not a tool you deploy when someone ultimately establishes a limit. Friday, a parcel reached at my fresh residence. I didn't identify the originator. Within was the betrothal band I had presented her, along with a message. If you're truly finished, then reclaim this. I don't desire it. I gazed at the band, a platinum ring with a solitary gem I had accumulated 6 months to acquire. I had proposed on a shore at dusk, the sort of instance she had shared about for weeks. Now it was in a paper container, mailed back like an unwanted buy. I didn't retain it. I brought it to a jeweler in Denver, traded it, and contributed the funds to a male's psychological wellness organization. The document displayed $4,200. I retained a duplicate, not because I required evidence, but because I desired to recall the precise worth of what I had regained. Update 3. 2 weeks into my fresh existence, Melissa's efforts to reach me had diminished. The rings shifted from every day to every several days, the communications from long passages to solitary inquiries. Are you truly not returning? Is this truly finished? Do you even mind? I didn't reply. Quiet was my reply. Then her companions began contacting, not to scold, but to seek inquiries. Her closest companion, Rachel, dispatched me a communication on networking. Hey, I know circumstances are tense now, but I just desire to comprehend. Melissa stated you departed without any alert. Is that accurate? I responded with one line. I informed her I was weary of being slighted. She demanded I act like a real man. I did. Rachel didn't reply. But 2 days later, another companion, another communication. This time from Devon, the fellow Melissa desired as my groomsman. Dude, Melissa is claiming you fled because you couldn't manage marriage organization. That's not accurate, is it? I dispatched him an image. The communication I had dispatched Melissa 3 months back, inquiring if we could convene and discuss the marriage plans. Her reply, I've managed it. You just need to appear and appear attractive. Devon examined it. Then, dude, that's harsh. I didn't realize. By the 3rd week, the tale Melissa had been weaving began to unravel. Individuals who knew us both started posing her straightforward inquiries. Why did Carter depart? What occurred? She lacked solid replies because the facts made her appear unfavorable. Her mom rang me one final occasion. This occasion, her manner was varied, not furious but exhausted. Carter, I don't know what transpired between you two, and honestly, it's not my affair. But Melissa is facing difficulties. She's struggling with the rent, the residence is costly and she can't manage it solo. The rental is under her name, I stated. She endorsed the shift. She didn't comprehend what she was endorsing. That's not my issue. Linda halted. You've altered. No, I stated. I just ceased being a pushover. She disconnected. I never perceived from her again. Melissa's last effort arrived a month following my departure. She appeared at my workplace in Denver. I don't know how she located it, but she did. She waited in the entrance area, and when I descended for midday meal, she was present. Carter, she stated, rising. She appeared slimmer, weary. Please, can we simply converse? I gazed at her, this woman I had once intended a tomorrow with, and sensed nothing. No fury, no sorrow, just separation. There's nothing to converse about, I stated. I'm regretful, she stated. I'm regretful for slighting you. I'm regretful for the Iceland matter, the marriage items, all of it. I didn't comprehend how much I was harming you. You didn't comprehend because you weren't observing, I stated, and I remained because I believed things would improve. They didn't. They can now, she stated. I can alter. I shook my head. You'll alter for the following individual, not for me. She extended for my limb. I retreated. Don't, I stated. She lowered her hand, moisture in her eyes. So that's it. You're simply finished. I was finished the instant you demanded I act like a real man, I stated. Everything following that was merely arrangements. I passed her, out the entrance, and didn't glance back. 3 months following my departure, I learned through Jason that Melissa had vacated the residence. She couldn't manage the rent solo, and her relatives declined to assist after she confessed she had endorsed the rental shift without examining it. She relocated back with them, a 31-year-old woman resting in her youth chamber. The marriage was revoked, payments forfeited, invites never dispatched. Her companions ceased inquiring about me, ceased protecting her tale. The facts had a manner of circulating, particularly when individuals began contrasting accounts. Jason informed me Melissa had attempted courting again, but it didn't succeed. She's varied now, he stated, more subdued. I believe losing you truly affected her. I didn't sympathize, I sensed nothing. Her networking went inactive. No further shares about marriage organization, no further images of her ideal existence, just quiet. The identical quiet I had offered her when I departed. Her mom dispatched me one last electronic message 6 months later. Carter, I desire you to know that Melissa has been attending counseling. She's improving herself. I know you've advanced, and I honor that, but I believed you should know she's attempting. I examined the message, then removed it. Melissa's development was not my duty. It never had been. Final closure. It has been a year since I departed. My existence in Denver is calm, steady, and completely mine. I received advancement at employment. I acquired a residence, a modest 2-bedroom with a yard and a sight of the peaks. I resumed jogging, something I had abandoned because Melissa claimed it consumed too much period from marriage organization. I encountered someone fresh. Her name is Claire. She is an educator, considerate, and the initial time we differed about dining location, she stated, "What do you prefer?"